Today, we're going to repair a Toyota Tacoma truck. Specifically, a 2008 pre-runner Tacoma with a 4.0-liter V6 engine that only has 45,000 miles on it because we only drive it about 3,000 miles a year. So, needless to say, it's very lightly used. Even so, one day I went out and started it and this pesky little yellow light came on. Worse yet, it didn't go out. So I decided to share my repair with you. What we're going to do in this video is be notified there's a problem, hook up the code reader to find out what that problem is, then change an oxygen sensor that's causing the problem. Oh yeah, then use the code reader to go back and clear all the maintenance codes. According to the internet, an auto repair shop would charge me between $385 to $405 to repair this. The new sensor for this truck cost $100, so by doing the repair myself I saved right around $300. To read the maintenance codes out of an automobile, you can use a nifty little device like this OTC Model 3209 reader. Before I move on, let me address the internet trolls before they have a chance to jump on this. I know there's going to be a comment that $140 cost for this computer should be included in how much I spent to repair this. Here's why I say that you don't have to include this cost. You should already own it, just like the other tools you use to repair your vehicles. The list of maintenance repairs you can do with this tool is pretty phenomenal. And if you're ever unfortunate enough to have to use a Toyota dealer service center, you may need to have this tool for them to actually do their jobs. Let me share a very short story with you. A couple months ago, I was driving across the state of Montana in my Camry. If you've ever driven across the state, each city is over 100 miles apart. This is not the place to break down. Just outside of the city of Great Falls, I had a coil pack on my number 3 cylinder go bad. We limped the car to the Toyota dealership and waited for them to open. 2 hours later, the service advisor finally came out and hooked his computer up to our car. He then proceeded to tell me his code reader couldn't read my car because it was too old. So they couldn't do a repair on the car. In case you missed that part that I just said, let me emphasize it again. The Toyota dealership in Great Falls, Montana is incapable of reading the maintenance codes on a 2004 Toyota Camry. And if they can't get a maintenance code, they refuse to work on the car. The story does have a happy ending. We left the incompetent dealership behind and limped the car over to Carnahans Towing. The totally awesome mechanics that work here diagnosed the problem and had us back on the road within about 45 minutes. The two morals to this short story: if you're ever in Great Falls, Montana and need maintenance done, go to Carnahans. And if you own a Toyota, you need to carry your own computer for reading your own maintenance codes. Alright, on to the repair. Let's see how easy hooking up this reader can be. The maintenance port that you're going to be hooking up to is on the driver's side underneath the dash next to the emergency brake. Pull off the cover. Then hook up the reader. The ignition key is off at this point, and if you try to hook it up backwards, it won't let you. As soon as you plug it in, the maintenance reader will go through a diagnostic boot up. After boot up, it'll ask you to turn the ignition key on, but don't start the vehicle. So sorry about the video quality. My camera doesn't do such a good job when it's trying to record a computer screen. Okay, now we know that we're working on a 2008 Tacoma. It asks you to verify this. Now we're going to go out and try to talk to all the other computers on the truck. When it's all done, we found a total of 4 maintenance codes. Well, it's actually only one code. The status is changing. Here's the current code. Here's the histories. Here's the code once it's been confirmed, and here's a code it's expecting to happen again. Once you have this code P0157, you can do one of two things with it. You can look it up on the internet and it should tell you which oxygen sensor to change. Or you could give that code to the Toyota dealership and then they can change it. Just like you looking it up, auto parts stores are pretty good at looking this code up as well. Then they can give you the correct sensor. So I head down to O'Reilly's Auto Parts and I pick up a sensor. I was a bit surprised when they charged me $200. I soon found out why it was so expensive. They gave me the wrong part. Okay, so maybe they're not so good at looking this code up. Here's how you know you have the wrong part. Here's what the connector for the oxygen sensor on the truck looks like. This is the connector on the oxygen sensor. The new sensor, located on the bottom, has a different key in the connector, which prevents you from hooking it up. So I took that part back and decided to look up my own part number. Here's how to read this code. The problem is obvious. The oxygen sensor circuit has a low voltage. But what does bank 2 sensor 2 mean? Well, the bank ties back to what side of the engine exhaust it's monitoring. And you can tell this because the bank number matches the cylinder numbers in the vehicle. So bank 1 would match cylinder number 1, and bank 2 matches cylinder number 2. On a Tacoma, cylinder number 2 is on the driver's side. So in this vehicle, there's 2 different oxygen sensors on that circuit. Sensor 1 is before the catalytic converter, often called upstream. And sensor number 2 is after the catalytic converter, often called downstream. The vehicle can compare both these sensors and tell how good a job your catalytic converter is doing. We now know enough to convert bank 2 sensor 2 to English. I need to pick up the oxygen sensor for the driver's side downstream. Well, since O'Reilly's has already let me down, this time I went to the AutoZone website. And good news! The correct part only cost $100. Here we see this is for a 2-wheel drive Tacoma truck. It's the downstream sensor, and it specifically clarifies after the catalytic converter. And finally, it's located on the left-hand side of the vehicle, or the driver's side. To double check, let's look at the connector. Yes sirree, that keyway is the correct one. I feel confident I can go down and pick this up now. Oh, and here's the part number you're going to need. The new part comes in a pretty cool looking box. That's kind of a bonus. Anyway, comparing the parts, the old one's on the bottom, the new one's on the top. The wire bundle for the new one is a bit longer than the old one. Since this mounts on a hot exhaust manifold, we'll have to keep an eye on that. The actual sensors themselves also look just a little bit different. When you go to put this sensor in, you need to put anti-seize onto the threads, so you'll be able to get it out again. The good news here is, the manufacturer's already put some on for us. We'll give them a big hooray for that. And weirdness abounds because this does look like a used part. I can see the sensor's already scorched. But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that was done during testing of the sensor to see if it works. Accessing the sensor is so extremely easy. You don't even need to jack the truck up. Simply slide underneath the driver's side door and look straight up. The sensor's located right here. The connector for the sensor, right here. Now, this most probably won't apply to you, but if you're a follower of my channel, you've built this shield to protect your Tacoma's catalytic converters from theft. See the link above on how to do this. Anyway, the shield has to come off, but it's very easy. Loosen these 2 bolts, remove these 2 security screws, and remove these 4 bolts. The whole shield will just come off. Remember, your truck probably won't have this. But anyway, once the shield's off, right there, easy access. I realized after the fact that my video camera didn't capture me removing the connector. So let's take a detailed look at how to do that. This is the connector on the truck side. You'll see some grooves on the connector. Push really hard where the arrow is pointing, then gently pull on the sensor connector. It should pop right out. The wrench I used for removal is 7/8. You can't go wrong naming your wrenches after dogs. My initial try at removal went horribly wrong. The sensor would not budge. So, I opened the garage door and then I warmed that engine up for a while, while carefully avoiding all that hot stuff underneath there. The next try worked out like a champ. It just broke loose with very little problems. Since the new part already has anti-seize on it, I just installed it. The connector will snap right in place. Remember I said the wire bundle was longer? At this point I'm checking to see if it has the chance of touching anything it shouldn't. It looks good. I started the truck and the check engine light was gone. Now let's clear the codes. Hook your code reader back up and let it do its magic. Despite the light being out, the codes are still there. Verify that it's still the same code, and I didn't break something else while I was messing around. I return to the previous menu, scroll down to Erase Codes. It says, "Are you absolutely sure?" So apparently, the codes in each truck computer need to be erased individually. So I just went in there and erased all the codes in all the different computers. After erasing, we go back up to see if there's any codes left. And they're gone. Now I can go out and use that thing that's in the back of my truck like I originally intended to. I want to thank my riding partner for the patience he showed during the delay for the start of our ride. Well, thanks for watching.